Before we understand the modern stance on capital punishment, let us look to the history books to see where this issue has evolved. Capital punishment has been around for as long as history itself. To the ancient Egyptians, the death penalty was applied for those who broke Ma'at, which includes crimes such as murder, theft, sacrilege, and spying. The death penalty is applied through beheading, sacrifice, or drowning in the Nile in a closed sack. The Aztecs used the death penalty as a common punishment for crime. The criminal would be taken to the altar and put to death, strangled, or even stoned on the spot. As civilizations advanced from these ancient cultures, capital punishment remained. During the medieval age, people were burned, drowned, or tortured if they were accused of witchcraft or wizardry, a practice which continued to the colonization of the Americas during the Salem witch trials. Upon the creation of the United States, there was no specific mention of the death penalty in the United States Constitution. The first Congress of the United States made reference to capital punishment and authorized it for no less than 12 offenses, including treason, murder, piracy, and forgery. However, just as today, the ultimate penalty was a subject of debate, particularly about the deterrent value and the degree to which it should be imposed. During the course of the 1800s, an increasing number of Americans became concerned about the death penalty. In 1845, the American Society for the Abolition of Capital Punishment was founded. By 1917, 10 states had abolished the death penalty. In 1897, Congress did enact a bill entitled An Act to Reduce the Cases in Which the Death Penalty May be Inflicted. The act effectively made all federal capital punishment discretionary rather than mandatory. In 1972, the United States Supreme Court ruled in Furman v. Georgia that the death penalty as administered was unconstitutional and violated the Eighth Amendment protections against cruel and unusual punishment. The decision effectively voided the death penalty in 38 states as well as in the federal system. But by 1976, enough states had rewritten their death penalty statutes to meet court concerns and it was effectively reinstated. There are some common threads that can be seen in this progression. As times advanced, the methods of putting someone to death became more and more humane, reducing the criminal's pain and increasing the level of humanity enacted by this punishment. Also, the sentence of death was reserved only for the most extreme crimes, and those extreme crimes have become less and less frequent in modern society. But can this process, which has been a part of human culture since the birth of civilization, be put to an end? Will we as a species ever reach a point to which there is no crime and no need for the deterrence of the death penalty? We may reach that point someday, but until then, the death penalty should remain as a sentence acting as a deterrent against the most extreme crimes.
The method of execution to be followed was common to all the states that used lethal injection, a so-called three-drug cocktail. The first drug, an anesthetic, is meant to put you to sleep and render you oblivious to pain. The second drug paralyzes all the muscles, causing asphyxiation. Then the third drug stops the heart. The process is designed to be quick, painless, humane.
We should first underline that there is a family here that has been grieving for many, many years, and that is the family of that slain officer. Their loss is profound. But there are many people who believe that last night, the state of Georgia executed an innocent man.
Justice!
They were fighting for Troy Davis's life.
What do we want? Justice! Now!
Shedding tears outside the White House, taking their case to the Georgia State Capitol. Witnesses say he took no sedative, requested no final meal, and in his last few breaths, they say he insisted he was an innocent man.
He said, the incident that night was not my fault. I did not have a gun. And to the McPhail family, he said, of course, I did not personally kill your son, father, and brother. I am innocent.
Davis was executed for the 1989 murder of off-duty police officer Mark McPhail. McPhail's family says their loss is often forgotten. They want the world to know they're certain the right man was executed.
The last 22 years have been held.
But the murder weapon was never found, and 7 of the witnesses who pointed the finger at Davis now say they lied, saying they were pressured by police and by the real killer, who they say testified against Davis.
If I knew then what I know now, Troy Davis would not be on death row.
have a situation that is extremely emotionally charged for the police themselves.
The witnesses have testified that they were subject to undue police pressure or coercion.
When the witnesses recant that testimony, there's no case left.
This person could die for something they didn't do.
A verdict that's not ironclad is not good enough to support a death penalty.
Yo quiero contarles mi historia. Me llamo Leonel Herrera. Tengo 53 años. En 1981 fui sentenciado a muerte por el asesinato de un oficial de policía en Los Frenos, Texas. El 29 de septiembre, Enrique Carrizales fue asesinado por un disparo. David Rocker, otro oficial de policía que se encontraba a 1 metro de distancia, fue herido. El testimonio de Rocker me inculpó. Y el hecho de que me encontraran borracho se convirtió en la prueba de mi delito. En el momento del juicio, mi cara aún reflejaba las marcas de la conversación que había sostenido con el policía. La descripción del oficial de policía herido podía encajar con la de la gran mayoría de la población del sur de Texas, pero el jurado no tuvo ninguna duda. Me inculparon por el asesinato y me sentenciaron a muerte. Fueron unos años después, cuando mi sobrino, Raúl Herrera Jr., dio una declaración que salió a la luz pública. Esto es lo que dijo.
En septiembre de 1981, tenía entonces 9 años. Vi a mi padre, Raúl Herrera, hermano del condenado, asesinar al policía Carrizales. Y poco después, durante la huida, disparar contra el policía de patrulla Ruth.
Después de oír todo esto, ¿usted cree que soy inocente o culpable? Yo sí sé que soy inocente, pero podrán sacar ahora sus propias conclusiones, cualquiera que sean. Tal vez puedan decírmelas en persona. Me pueden encontrar aquí, donde me enterraron, hace 8 años, después de que dictaron mi sentencia.